Hey y'all, this season we're teaming up with our friends at Written Word Media. Self publishing can be a solitary gig, but book marketing doesn't have to be, even if you love it like April does. Written Word supports indie authors with email promos and ad services that actually work. Whether you're launching a new release or trying to breathe some life into a backlist title, they've got tools and real humans to help. We've met them, we really have, to help you reach the readers who are looking for books like yours. They can also help you grow your newsletter and find brand new readers.
Both Jen and I have used their services and we're huge fans. So head on over to writtenwordmedia.com and let them help you shine a light on your book.
Shine a light.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Tough Love Publishing Podcast. I'm April L. Moon, and this is my first class co-host, Jen LaSalle.
What's up? I'm
Jen,
bougie. I'm bougie, huh? First class. I
you
like it.
are you are bougie. Love it. So Jen, have you got any updates to share with us this week?
I do. We had a rough weekend. We had to say goodbye to our family dog. She was 16 and she was done. So everyone out there listening and watching, hug your fur babies for me, please, because the house just feels weird and sad and lonely without her.
I'm so sorry. That is a rough weekend.
It's
Like maybe the roughest of the rough.
Yeah, it was stinky. It was real stinky, but I know it was the right decision, but still, doggone it, stinks.
They take a piece of our hearts with them.
Yes, for sure. For sure. What about you? What have you got going on that's less sad and depressing on this cheerful topic that we're going to discuss today?
I have two bits of news. Actually, I only wrote one down, but I thought of a second one. It's kind of the opposite. My 6-year-old lost his first tooth this weekend,
Oh,
and it was very adorable. And this morning, he came racing into my bedroom before the crack of dawn
ooh,
with the tooth fairy money clutched in his fist, screaming,
oh.
"Mom, the tooth fairy came!" And it was very adorable and very rude awakening.
Well done, Tooth Fairy, but
Yeah,
leave a
so
note. Don't wake up mommy and daddy.
oh my gosh. Well, we had to leave a note for the tooth fairy to say, please still leave me money, even though I swallowed my tooth.
Oh no. My daughter lost one in a swimming pool. She was
Oh, really?
she was swimming laps. That's how long she's been competing. She was swimming laps and it came off and I could see like she tried to grab it and then it floated down and that was the end of it. And the sweet coaches like tried to find it, but we just could not. So
Yeah, I think it was for the best because he was very nervous about it. And the fact that it just happened and was a non-event, I think was the best possible outcome.
for sure.
Um,
It's kind of
my
low key.
other,
Oh, it's kind of
oh,
low key gross that we keep teeth anyway, but it's just a
I
personal
don't keep
opinion.
them. I think I am not the super sentimental one. I do not keep them. I make sure
Yeah.
to throw them away where the kids can't see them,
Yeah.
like and give up the whole tooth fairy thing. But I don't keep them. It kind of grosses me out too. So
Super gross. Super gross.
yeah. The other bit of news is
Oh
that
yeah.
my temporary office time is almost at an end, and I decided to rent a new office
I love
because I've enjoyed having a dedicated writing space.
Mhm.
And even though the summer is over and the construction is over almost,
Almost.
um,
We're not talking about that today.
we're not. I'm so over it. We're not talking about that at all. I decided to rent another office space that is a tiny bit cheaper, a tiny bit closer to home, but it's got a beautiful green space out the window, which y'all will get to see next season.
I love that. I love that. I
Mhm.
think that we underestimate the value of nature when we're doing something creative. Um,
Mhm.
like I've never been a coffee shop person because I need to feel outdoorsy. And I try to make my office feel a little like nature in touch with nature. And I have, you can't see them, but pictures of like because it snowed here in New Orleans this past January, and some people like went out to the swamps and took pictures of like boats covered in snow and all the cypress trees and everything. It's just the coolest. So I try to
That
connect
is
nature.
really,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's such a cool thing. But yes, I think it's important to have an office or writing space that soothes your soul so you can tap into your creative.
yeah. I agree. And I am very excited about the move. I don't move until next month, but I am very excited. My husband is actually going to be moving for me
Oh, nice.
because I will be at our writers retreat the first weekend
Oh,
after the new
goodness.
office. So,
That's right. Yay, Mr. Moon. Thanks for holding up the fort while we go right.
yes.
Tune in to next season, everyone, if you really want to see.
Absolutely. Um, so, our topic today
Easy one.
is easy one. I was about to say a serious one, but very important.
Yes.
Today, we are talking about retirement and estate planning for authors.
Yes.
And before we dive in, I'm going to remember the disclaimer up front
Yeah.
that we are not financial advisors, estate planners, lawyers, or any
Yeah.
qualified professional to give you official advice.
That's right.
We are your peers, authors, and people who just want to get you thinking about an important topic and making your own plans.
Yes, what April said.
So, we are going to start with retirement and work our way to estate. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. I'm going to
Yeah.
cover the retirement piece, and the lovely LaSalle is going to handle the estate planning piece. Quite frankly, because she's actually read the book and I have not.
I've read several.
Yeah. Well, technically, I read one too, but it was not for authors. So I didn't have any specific advice for authors.
All right. Well,
But let's dive right on in to the retirement piece. The number one thing is that if you have a 9 to 5 job that allows you to contribute to a 401k, there are a lot of advantages to contributing at least up to the match, right? If your employer gives you a matching contribution, because that is free money. Okay.
right.
So if you are not a full-time author yet, or you're staying a part-time author permanently because of the benefits,
Right.
no sweat. You hopefully have great 401k options with your business.
Hmm.
If you are a full-time author and you don't have personal retirement accounts yet, you actually have some really great options. There are IRAs, 401ks, individual 401ks, Roths. There are all kinds of possible accounts that you could get as an author. Your personal situation, though, will depend based on whether or not you have incorporated, started an LLC, or whether you're still operating as a sole proprietor. So, this is a great case in which you want to talk to a CPA who works with a lot of small business clients. My number one recommendation for almost any author who's making a decent amount of money in this business is find a great CPA who you trust. Okay.
Yeah.
Because my CPA is the one who helped me set up my account. And with an S corp, sorry, he advised me to go and open an individual 401k because as a corporation owner, I am able to do profit sharing into my own 401k, which gives you extra, it raises some of the limits and changes how much you can contribute per year, which was a great benefit to my situation. But that is not available for every situation. So it's really, really important to find that trusted CPA.
I,
Um,
can I just jump in and say two quick things? The first is a lot of what we're talking about is US centered and US focused.
yes.
And so I want to make sure to like add that disclaimer that, things like IRAs and 401ks, I believe they're global, but also the way that they work depends on where you live a lot.
Yes.
So that's another reason to find a CPA. And also, if you're feeling
Yes.
overwhelmed because you don't know what any of these words mean, if like April just said IRA and like your blood pressure shot up, the first step would just be finding someone that you can ask those questions to that you feel safe
Mhm.
asking those questions to. You don't have to move straight into a retirement plan, but the process of thinking of your writing and your authorship as a business starts with thinking about things like IRAs and retirement and paying yourself, which we've already talked about. Sorry.
So that is a great point, and I'm sorry, I tend to go mid-level instead of beginner level.
Don't
So
be
I will
sorry.
back up. I
Yeah.
will back up a little bit. An IRA just stands for individual retirement account. A 401k is the worst name ever for a very simple type of account, which allows you to get tax benefits. And it also is named after like the section in the tax code that it comes from. Like it was section 401k in whatever government document that created this tax benefit.
Right.
So like it's still an account. It is a type of investment account that has tax benefits. It is not anything scary. And Roth, usually tacked onto either IRA or 401k, is an after tax contribution that grows tax free. So that is like the basics of that. I do have a couple of resources for anyone who is not comfortable with or knowledgeable about investing.
Like me.
No, no hate, because the thing to remember is nobody was born knowing all this stuff, right? This is
Right.
literally man-made tax code and legalese that none of us knew until we learned, and we all started somewhere. So, one would be I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. He goes over like specifically what kinds of accounts to open, and he even has basic investing advice in there. If you really don't know what you're doing, he's got some options. As far as retirement goes, he does recommend target date funds. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know your situation, so I can't give you details like that. But I would recommend that book as a great starting place. And then there's another great book, J.L. Collins, The Simple Path to Wealth. And he's got some great no nonsense advice. I believe it all started with him writing it as like letters to his adult daughter because he wanted to teach her about finance.
Aw.
So it's a little bit more accessible, and yeah, it's simple is okay. And I think a lot of people think, well, if I'm not an investment guru, I'm not a finance person, I barely even have any money left over at the end of the month, I can't do this.
Right.
What I would say is that it's absolutely okay to start small.
Right.
Like, this isn't a contest between other authors or other individuals who are trying to save for retirement. The
Hmm.
point is for you to do what you can for yourself in the future,
Right.
right? Because retirement is coming whether we plan for it or not.
Yeah.
And if all you have is $10 a month, then invest that $10 a month, because fractional shares are a thing now, and you can invest with literally $10 a month and it's fine. So don't be put off if you don't know everything.
Hmm.
Make a list of questions and start finding sources where you can learn about those things. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That is what I have to say about that.
I love that. And one of the reasons that we are splitting this up today, and you're talking about retirement and I'm talking about estate planning, is because that's an area where you're stronger, right? Is retirement. But personally, it's not something I thought about because I have the privilege of having a husband who has a full-time account. So retirement is not a priority on my author list right now. But as the business
Right.
grows, I will be asking a lot of questions. I do have a CPA that I trust, however, because
Mhm.
I just think everyone should have that. Frankly, everyone should have that period, like full stop, because
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's a hard, complicated road out there, and it only gets harder and more complicated every year. So it's good to have someone you can trust in your corner to protect you and your money and your estate and all of those things. And I know estate is a big word because we're going to transition into estate planning now. And I want to talk about the word estate for a minute. I did not put this in the notes either, but as I said it,
Okay.
in my head, I had a connotation about estate, right? Where you're like, oh, what do I do to protect my mansion, from in the forest or whatever it is? But your estate is not necessarily some big term that only the wealthy have, right? Your estate is basically the things that you own or that are your intellectual property that that you're going to have to leave with someone when you are no longer here with us. I do want to offer just a little bit of a trigger or content warning for anyone who maybe has recently suffered a loss or is going through something or facing these kinds of scenarios, that now might be a good time to check out, because I am going to talk about what happens after we move on. And that's a very difficult conversation. So, for anyone that's not ready to hear that conversation, we love you and we'll see you next time. But anyone else who wants to start it, we're going to talk a little bit about estate planning. And again, your estate is not necessarily your massive mansion that has been passed down through generations of royalty. We are just talking about your stuff, more or less. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to hold it up And then our wonderful, and it's going to be backwards on the video, but our wonderful resource tech will include the link to this book. But it's called Estate Planning for Authors by M.L. Buckman. And it was a really great starter for me because it's very basic. Like it's not asking you to do anything super complicated. I will say the book is a little bit dated. I actually just thought about looking at the copyright. It's from 2017. And it's the only reason I feel like that's a little bit dated is just because technology has advanced. And a lot of what estate planning for authors talks about is writing what M.L. Buckman calls the final letter, right? So it's really more or less a document that includes all of your stuff, like all of your passwords, bank account informations, like everything. Nowadays, we have more secure ways to store those things and to share them with people. Um, when I talk about that, like for example, my family, we use a system called LastPass, which we have a subscription to, and it stores and encrypts all of our passwords. We keep our account information in there. I maybe shouldn't. I don't know. My head.
There are several different password softwares, like password storage ones.
Yeah.
But I can't remember. I think the one I used to use was like 1Pass or something.
Right.
But even
Yeah,
if you just like use the Google Password Manager, make sure you
right.
have somewhere in your chosen software to store things.
Yes, thank you. Because I was like, wow, I just shared something really personal there. But also, not just storing them for your own benefit, but making sure that somebody has easy access to them if something happens to you. My husband and I, or my family and I, because we have a teen daughter now, right? She has passwords and she has email accounts and things like that. All of that is stored in a central system and we can control who sees what. So, like, she can't see our bank account information, for example, but we can see everything of hers, which is important. So some of the questions that I want you to think about is who are you trying to make life easier for if something happens to you? That for me is a little bit easier to digest than what happens when I die, right? Which is a
Mhm.
harder, heavier question. Um, One of the things that you can think about, and I'm going to throw up because I'm a big time Swiftie. We've mentioned this before. Taylor Swift has talked a lot about recently getting the rights back to all of her music. And when she discussed it and why she recorded the Taylor's version albums, because the question that kept coming up to her since she was very young was, are my children going to receive royalties from my song, or is somebody else going to sell it to a stranger as part of a deal? And that
Mhm.
bothered her, and I think that bothers me too, to think about the fact
Mhm.
that my family, who I love and has supported me while I've written and, developed this business, if something happened to me and I hadn't set things up properly, then they would not be able to reap the benefits from that. And, we're talking not just royalties, but when you get rights to a TV series or a movie deal or anything like that, right? Or audio rights or translation rights, all of these things that get very complicated. I want to make sure that my family reaps the benefits of that when I can no longer, control them
Manage
myself.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, manage it myself. One of the first things I did when I started to take my business seriously as an author was I transferred my KDP account from my personal account to a business. I set up the LLC, and there's also a lot of resources out there about like when is a good time to set up an LLC or an S corp and all the different variations. I set it up. I set up a business account, right? It was no longer going into our personal account. And y'all, I literally messaged Amazon and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. And they transferred everything from my personal account to my business account. So it was now like my publishing company had a KDP account, not Jen, who was also buying, whatever on Amazon Prime, like renting movies, buying school supplies and stuff like that. Like it wasn't like toothpaste and publish this book. It was like now there's two separate entities going on here, right? Um,
Oh my word.
I know. And they will work with you. They're not just going to like take your word for it. They're not just going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that for you, right? Like you have to have
Mhm.
access to both. You have to go in and approve it on multiple levels. But when I tell you it was done within like 3 to 4 hours, I felt so much better too. And they transferred all of my royalty history. Like it was everything. So if you're feeling like that's a thing, like, oh, I really should have this under a business account and it's still personal, it is not an overwhelming task necessarily. It doesn't have to be to get all of it moved into a business account. Um, with the business account, the reason that that's important to me is because my husband is named on my business as a partner, right? So he now
So is
can,
mine.
yes, exactly. So he can legally access my KDP account when I'm gone or if something happened to me, not just because he has the password and can log in, but
Yeah.
because he's a shareholder, and so
Can
he
I add one more thing to
do
that
that.
conversation? I don't
Yes.
know if I told you this or not, but I recently learned with KDP that there is a way you cannot give anyone else access to your account, nor should you just like give someone else access to your account ever.
Correct.
Obviously, not advocating for that.
Right.
But KDP will let you specify a person who can get information from KDP on your behalf about the account.
Hmm.
So that is something that you are able to like email KDP and ask them, hey, I need to set up a secondary person who is my husband, who's also named on the business, and he needs to be able to get information about this account. And like you can set that up on their side. You do have to contact them. It's not something in the dashboard, but I thought that was a really good thing to do just in case, right? Same thing. Because, God forbid they do get locked out or something and
Right.
they need access, then it needs to be able to come from somewhere else, like from them.
I love that.
Right.
There's a lot of emotional peace of mind to that too, right? Because it's not
Mhm.
those low level stressors just tend to hang out with us. I love that.
Yeah.
And we're mentioning KDP, but guys, any of your accounts, Draft to Digital, what's
Mhm.
Ingram Spark, uh, whatever you're using, you want to have someone else who can access it legally, not just because you gave them your password, or not
Mhm.
just because they're your assistant and they help you with something. You want to have somebody that has the right to that information, so that if something happens to you, this is not an additional stressor, and this is not an area where you're locked out and you lose money or time or stress or anything like that. If you are in the US, the United States, copyrights, yes or no on whether to do them has been debated. In my personal opinion, you should be filing a copyright for every single one of your books. And my copyright is under my business name and then in accordance with my personal name. So my publishing company owns the copyrights in accordance with me personally. So that for no whatever reason, if again there has to be a claim on a paperback or the manuscript itself, we have the rights to it. You also have to file ISBN numbers when you're doing a paperback. I know a lot of people use Amazon's like one free ISBN, and there's some debate about who actually owns the paperback when you do that. I am again of the opinion that it should be a business expense to purchase your own ISBNs and control the numbers on your paperbacks. And I do all of that through my business. These are just added expenses. They are not monumental expenses, but I factor that in when I ask myself the question, how much does it cost to launch a new book? I include those costs in there because that is something that is important. So if something happens to me, my business can still operate. Even if, for example, my daughter or one of my kids decided they wanted to continue to write as and use myself as a pen name, use my name as a pen name, they could do that pretty easily because they, well, not right now because they're young, but they would be shareholders in the company, right? They would have the rights to do
Right.
that. I think I've already said this, but if you have a partner, ensuring that they have access to these things now is going to save them grief later. I know a lot of people who have horror stories of a partner died either suddenly or not. And they couldn't even get into their bank accounts, or they didn't know where their retirement accounts were. All of these things, those are things that you want to manage now while you can. Um, it can be as simple as a letter, a final letter. But there are online wills that will walk you through wills, WILL, because I know I have a Southern accent and I want to make sure it's wheels. That they will walk you through asking these questions like, what property do you have? Each and every one of your manuscripts is intellectual property. The characters that you created, the worlds you've created, merchandise on your behalf, rights to TV and movies, like I've mentioned before. You want that to stay with you and you want to be able to control who gets it if something happens to you. That is important, guys. Those are your book babies, right? And a lot of times we talk about, oh, well, this is my baby. I don't want to sell it or monetize it, but this is my baby. I want to protect who gets my baby if something happens to me is really in line with that. You can also find local attorneys. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, if finding an attorney or doing any of that sounds overwhelming, a lot of companies offer Legal Shield or something similar where you
Right.
have an option to just like enroll for it because benefits time is coming, right? For most of us in the US. There's usually like you can literally just check a box and be like, yes, I want to sign up for this legal protection thing. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you know this or not, but most of them will prepare you a will for free if you
Wow.
pay through your benefits.
I didn't know that.
Because that's what my husband and I did before he quit his job last year. We did wills through the benefit program and it didn't cost us an extra penny. And they match you to a local attorney to do it for you.
That's fantastic.
So like they do all the hunting and find someone and like, hey, this lawyer is close by, they will do your will and blah, blah, blah. So
That's great to know. So,
a low energy option if you're feeling overwhelmed at this point in this conversation.
yes, I think April might be feeling overwhelmed at this point in this conversation. Yeah, I think we're gonna run out of time, and obviously this is something I feel passionate about because I can talk about this nonstop. But I do feel very strongly because I am, if you guys know what an Enneagram is, I'm an Enneagram too. I live to serve. I'm very empathetic person. I love people. I want to take care of people. That is why I write women's fiction because I want people to feel seen and validated. And part of that is I don't want something happening to me to impact the people I love more than is absolutely necessary. On top of whatever emotional grief they would be going through, I don't want them to also have to figure out this added level of difficulty. For me, this is less, oh my goodness, I have to think about my death and my mortality and all of that. This is more, I need to take care of the people I love in this way. For you, if you are a high responsibility person, then this is you taking care of those things, because it is something that helps make things seamless in the future. So the sooner
And
you think about it,
can I add one more thing? I
please.
think that if you don't do anything else, like if nothing else in this episode talks to you, have a conversation with that person who is closest to you and
Yeah,
just give them a high level, like have a chat with them
yeah,
and say, like, in a non creepy or sad way, you can just be like, hey, do you know how my business actually works? And
yeah,
like, because I would want you to be the person who would know
right.
and give them a high level rundown. Because when when my husband quit his 9 to 5 and he started working like in my business, I realized that despite the years of conversations I'd been having with him, that he didn't understand the basics of publishing.
Right, right,
Right. So I had to take a big step back. And that's why I said I tend to go mid level. I don't start at the beginning and,
right,
build. So I had to take a step back and like introduce him to this is what my business actually does. These are the tasks my business actually performs.
right,
This is like the order of which in which things happen when you publish a book. And like basic conversations like that, I think can go a long way to also easing your mind and making them aware in the future of like, hey, yeah, I file for all the copyrights and I have all those certificates and hey, they're in the safe.
right.
If you ever need one, here's where they, like just a conversation can be a great first step to like starting that is a low barrier to entry.
I love that so much. And I want to say two things about that. The first is that is something that Ramit and I can teach you to be rich, or I'm sorry, I don't have the exact name of it, but great.
I will teach you to be rich.
I will teach you to be rich, not will, not can. But something that he stresses is getting comfortable having money conversations, financial conversations with a partner. Even if it's not about a will to start, having those conversations and making them comfortable with your partner is crucial. If it's just like one of those things that you just don't talk about, maybe question why. And maybe it's something you don't talk about just because you've never thought about it, or maybe there's some internal fear response in there that you might want to think about and process. The second is maybe not just showing your partner how to do the publishing, but documenting all of those steps, because as you grow, you can outsource some of that and you're going to want to have it documented anyway. So
Yes.
checklists, how to documents, even those things that you do every day that you don't think about, taking the time to write that stuff down is not only going to benefit someone else who steps into your place if they have to, but it's going to benefit you when you reach that point where you're like, I need more help, but I don't have the time to train someone new because I have to show them this, and this. You'll already have some of that for you.
That's very true.
Whew. Big topic, guys, and we certainly can't cover it all, but we did want you to just start thinking about your future as an author and not just your growth, but how to protect it when you maybe can't be an author anymore or don't want to. Maybe you want to retire. Maybe you only want to write books until you're 50 and then, peace out. That's awesome, but have a plan in place. Please
Yes.
say the two
Yes.
strategic people.
It's very true. We are very strategic. I
Yeah.
think, um, and I probably should have said that in the retirement planning part. It's important to know what you actually want for your retirement to look like. It's okay if you don't know every detail of like, if you want to sip a margarita or a pina colada on the beach, that's fine. You can decide that later. But knowing, hey, I want to continue writing. I just want to slow down. I want to write whatever I want, not what the market dictates.
Yeah.
Or I do want to be done and I want to travel and just only write if inspiration strikes me. Like it's
Yeah.
important to know what you want, because if you don't know, you're never going to hit it. Right.
And
So,
that's a great conversation to start having with your partner. Or if you are single by choice or not, have that conversation with yourself, because sometimes we don't slow
mhm,
down and think about that, right? Start to think about those things. What do I want? What do I see in the future? Like long term, not the by this time next year, I'm going to be X, Y, and Z. Start to think about 10, 15, 20, 40 years in the future and what you want your life to look like. I'm going to let April go right into her tough love moment because it builds perfectly from this. So I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let April say it.
okay. My tough love moment for today is that little actions taken today can build into great momentum over time.
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect at any of this. Like, I just want to stress, you don't have to make the perfect will, the perfect estate plan, the perfect retirement plan. You don't have to make any of it perfect.
Mhm.
But starting today is the most important part. Just show up,
Yeah.
take a stab, do your best based on the information you have today. And as you learn more, it's okay to refine the plan and change the plan, because you don't have to be an investment guru or a lawyer to take care of yourself in your later years.
Yeah.
Um, Starting now and perfecting it later is way better than never starting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so many things we fear them because they are big or
Mhm.
overwhelming. And I know we talked about this when we were talking about fear-based responses, but you don't have to see the end. You don't have to think I have to create a will today, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not the end point. The end point is I have to start thinking about my future today. And I want to start thinking about my future today and what that might look like, and then go from there.
Mhm.
Yeah. My tough love moment is we don't want to think about the inevitable. A lot of us avoid it not because it's overwhelming logistically, but because it's overwhelming emotionally. A small amount of planning today saves the people you love grief tomorrow. It is the ultimate act of generosity to make your passing as easy as possible on everyone. And we're not just necessarily talking about passing, and this is where I'm going to get a little tough part. What if you got sick? What if you were injured terminally? What if you just couldn't write anymore or function anymore? How can you help the people that you've built around you to support you? Or if you live a happily solitary life, what systems can you put in place to protect yourself going forward? That's not just an author thing, that's a human thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Woo.
right. Well, that was a heavy one. I'm not gonna lie, that was a heavy one. I am definitely not an estate planning guru by any means.
Same.
But we will make sure to link all the resources that we've personally used
Yeah.
into the comments. And as a reminder, we are still not professionals in anything to do with finance, estate planning, lawyers, none of that. We're just authors like you. But it's an important topic, and we hope that you picked up at least one thing that you'd like to move forward with soon
Yeah.
to better plan for your future. But until next week, bye, y'all.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
And before we go, I wanted to take a moment again to say thank you to our friends at Written Word Media for supporting season 1 and this episode. If you're an indie author looking to reach more readers without losing your mind or your writing time, check out their email promos and ad services. They make book marketing feel doable. And if you're anything like me, you might even find it fun.
Head to writtenwordmedia.com and take the next step in getting your book into the right reader's hands.